The good times continued to roll for Oklahoma this week. A midweek twofer against the Tarleton State Texans. Oklahoma went 2-0, two impressive performances, two impressive individual performances, as well as what the team was bringing to the table. We'll talk about all that, plus we will preview Oklahoma's weekend trip to Lubbock as the Sooners hop back into Big 12 play. Their first Big 12 road trip of the year against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. All that and more coming up right now. It's the AllSooners Softball Show. What's up? Welcome back. Ryan Chapman here for AllSooners.com as the softball season continues to rage into this March. We're into a really fun new set of the season. The non-conference, for the most part, has wrapped up. You're into week-in, week-out Big 12 play as Oklahoma, as I said, is going to get ready. Their first Big 12 road trip of the year. Not their first true road game. Did have a couple of games at McNeese State, but with the multi-team tournament, it's a little bit different. This is the first true road series of the season. Oklahoma back at number one after Texas's win against Houston, series win, but dropping one of those games. Texas also dropped their Tuesday midweek game in Baton Rouge, but it was a couple of games against Tarleton State where Oklahoma's stars of the weekend, Kelly Maxwell in the circle, Sydney Sanders at the plate, they dominated Iowa State. They dominated Tarleton State. Let's start with Sanders. Another 2 games, another 2 home runs. What more can you say about her? Her home run tally for the month of March alone, 8 home runs just in March. Look us up. We're not even halfway through the month. It's been insane. Patty Gasso on Sunday, if you remember on the AllSooners Softball Show, if you missed it, that we talked about Tuesday a couple days ago, talked about how this breakout campaign is a year in the making. And for Sanders, finally, she talked about how she's feeling more than just the taking things one pitch at a time, how she's feeling in the box.
Very, everything's lifted off of me. I don't know, it just comes easy now. Not really worried about anything. I don't know, it's coming to me. I don't know, it's amazing to see for myself from progress from last year to here. Very uplifting, I would say.
Sanders is unconscious right now, and it's really starting to feel like Oklahoma is finding that groove. When the Oklahoma lineups of the past have been their absolute best, it's when you truly have 6, 7 just headaches of, hey, if you don't control this player, if you don't have a good weekend against that player, they can come in and they can flat out take over a series. Sydney Sanders took over that series against Iowa State, and now you look up and down the lineup, Tiare Jennings more than capable of that. She's having a good season. She had a little bit of a slump brewing, but she busted that on Sunday, was fine against Tarleton State. You look at Alyssa Brito. She can go in there and she can take over a series. I imagine Brito spent a ton of time in the cages after that game against Tarleton State. The 2 games against Tarleton State. Jada Coleman, as we know, can take things over. Kinsey Hansen, who was sick against Tarleton State, but will be back on line this weekend. She can take things over. Riley Boone in her own way, less hitting home runs left, right, and center, although she did have that home run against Iowa State. She can take over a series. Now it feels like Oklahoma is truly 5 or 6 deep as far as what it was happening there. That's a really good place for Oklahoma to be. They're also getting fun contributions off the bench. Quincy Lilio had a big home run here in the last couple of games. Hannah Core hit her first career home run, and if you just look at what Sydney Sanders and Kelly Maxwell have to say right here about their excitement for Hannah Core, you can see why the good times are rolling to Norman.
I was super excited. I think I PR'd in a jump. Trying to jump over.
She sprinted around the bases.
She got there fast. It was exciting.
It's not just the bats that are heating up, though. Kelly Maxwell goes out just 5 innings, but it was Oklahoma's first no-hitter of the year in Game 1 against Tarleton State. An error away from not just a no-hitter, but a perfect game for Kelly Maxwell. You pair that with what she did on Saturday, Game 1 against the Cyclones. That was 7 scoreless. Obviously, the 5 scoreless innings against Tarleton State. And you're looking up, and it really feels like Kelly Maxwell has not just settled into the new atmosphere, playing at Oklahoma, all the eyeballs, all that stuff, But what Coach Jennifer Rocha, what she does as far as controlling Oklahoma's pitchers, controlling the bullpen, seems like they're really getting into a groove, and that couldn't come at a better time for Oklahoma as conference play heats up.
It's feeling good. I think I've worked really hard with Coach Rocha here lately, just really trying to nail down, her philosophy, and I think it's kind of showing. It's getting easy, kind of learning what she's taught, so it's just cool to see kind of everything fall into place.
Not just Kelly Maxwell, who, by the way, looks like she's moved into that Friday starter spot, the quote-unquote ace spot. Patty Gasso wouldn't call it that, but it looks like she's moved to that for Oklahoma. Got the first start against Iowa State, got that start in Game 1 against Tarleton State, and I would expect her to get the start on Friday against Texas Tech. Really fascinating weekend ahead for Oklahoma's pitchers on two fronts. First off, Nicole May, she continues to give up a lot more hits than you'd be accustomed to in the first couple of innings. Now 9 of the hits she's given up all season long. When she gave up those first 2 hits against Tarleton State, 9 of 23 hits total to that point in the season had been given up in the first inning. Heading into this Tarleton State series, she'd only given up 21 hits, 7 in the first inning, 7 in the second inning, 7 spread throughout the rest of games for her. She's got to figure out how to start games better. Kind of looks like the Nicole May of a couple years ago, where she gets out of jams, but the jams are a little bit self-inflicted, whether it be walks or hits. So something to adjust there. And then on the Kirsten Deal front, it's been the exact opposite. Since that performance against Long Beach State, she's not given up a run, and she hasn't gotten the marquee matchups quite yet, but it should be really, really interesting to see what Kirsten Deal looks like as Oklahoma heads to Lubbock. This is a Texas Tech team that, if you remember, last year took a bunch of steps forward as far as home run hitting, batting average. They were a lot better offensively than they had been a couple years past under a new coaching staff. Texas Tech in that spot again already this year. As you look at it, they had hit 23 home runs through their first 22 games. Once again, didn't really load up a huge non-conference schedule, kind of a high-scoring contest against Florida State. They'd played Charlotte, but otherwise not really, really battle-tested. It'll be a big trip for Oklahoma. It's not just dealing with Texas Tech's bats, but as Patty Gasso said on Tuesday night, a very unique atmosphere that Oklahoma has to deal with in Lubbock.
Texas Tech is tough. They got a very nice record. They swing, and it's a tough place to play. So it's usually windy or dusty or things like that. It's tough to play there, and they've got a good fan base. They've got a very good coach that's coaching. They're very confident, and they've been swinging well, scoring lots of runs. So it's definitely one of the tougher places to play. Maybe not exactly because of the fans, but more of just the environment and the way the wind is, and the temps and so forth. And I think we're walking into some of that this weekend. So we've got to be tough. We've got to be tough athletes this weekend.
All of that will get started on Friday. Like I said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sooners will be in Lubbock for a road trip, looking to stay perfect atop the Big 12 standings. Everybody else either 2-1 or worse. It's a bunch of split series wins, but only one sweep in the Big 12 last weekend. That was Oklahoma against Iowa State. We'll be back here, AllSooners Softball Show, next Tuesday to break down everything that happened in Lubbock, all of that fun stuff, as it'll be a busy week ahead. Midweek game for Oklahoma next week. A series against Baylor, that Friday game next weekend at Hall of Fame Stadium. The first time Oklahoma's been out to Hall of Fame Stadium, so it'll be action-packed. And to keep up with everything, as you know, AllSooners.com is your place to be. All the videos from Patty Gasso and co., all the stories, game recaps, midweek features, all that fun stuff is at AllSooners.com. So for the whole AllSooners staff, John Hoover, Randall Sweet, Bryce McKinnis, Ross Lovelace, I'm Ryan Chapman, and on the AllSooners Softball Show, we'll talk to you next